There's a huge difference between launching a startup and launching a successful startup. A lot of it comes down to what you do before launch. In this video, we'll discuss the 3 most critical steps that you should take before you launch your business to heighten your potential for success. So if you're ready to flex your entrepreneurial muscles, grab 2 kettlebells, 4 protein bars, and a full-size elliptical machine and follow me. Let's get it. Unfortunately, just hating your boss and having an idea doesn't mean that you're ready to start a business. And if you rush into launch, you're probably just setting yourself up for failure. In the early stages, there's many things that you'll need to do, from choosing a brand name and getting a logo design to deciding on a business structure and registering it with your state department. But honestly, you can launch a business without those things and make sales even before you have any of those things in place. But there are a few steps that you need to take before you ever sell a single product or even invest in your first marketing campaign. And we're going to talk about those right now. If you really think about it, great products aren't the ones that have a bunch of cool features and innovative functions. They are the ones that solve problems for a large number of people. And since it solves their problems, those people purchase them and become customers. But if you don't have customers, then you don't have a business. And if you don't know who your audience is, then there's no way to actually determine whether your product is solving their challenges. Before you launch your business, learn everything that there is to know about who your customers are. When you know who they are, it's easier to figure out what their demands are and what they're willing to pay for. Your product or service should reflect the needs of your customers, not your own needs. Not the needs of your families or friends, but the needs of the people who actually benefit from your product and are actually going to pay you for it. It's a good idea to go through a customer profiling exercise to really figure out who your customer is. A customer profile is a document that lists their demographic qualities, their pain points, interests, buying habits, and their existing approach to solving their problems. Once you've profiled your customers, then you can find people that meet that profile and sell them your product. Now that you have identified who your customers are, you can compare their needs with the features of your product. Ask yourself if your product actually solves their problem. And if it does it solve it significantly better than the next solution? If not, you need to spend more time in product development until you can answer this question with a solid yes. And if you're already there, then you're ready to move to the next step. Let's face it, you wouldn't want to step into a boxing ring blindly only to find out that your opponent is Mike Tyson. Athletes study their opponents closely by watching their previous games and battles, learning their every move, and developing strategies to defeat them. As an entrepreneur, you need to go through the same process before you strap on your gloves and enter the arena. You can learn a tremendous amount by studying your competitors. A little bit of research will show you what they are doing that works, what doesn't work, and it can help you define their strengths and weaknesses and allow you to capitalize on the opportunities that they haven't taken advantage of yet. It's very risky to think that you could enter a market with 20 other competitors with the same product or service at the same price point and actually be successful. To really capture a wide portion of the market, you have to find a space, a niche, or a gap where you can dominate. And when you know what your competitors are doing, then it becomes much easier to identify what they aren't doing. And when you find out what they aren't doing, or what they aren't doing well, it puts you in a position to do it better, cheaper, or faster. And now you have a product that you can actually win with. Think about this. Tinder has grown to become a significant player in the dating tech sector, but it wasn't the first. Match.com was already hugely successful when Tinder launched. Many other dating sites were launching with a similar premise, but they were quickly falling off the map. Other smartphone dating apps existed already too, but what none of these competitors had was an intuitive interface that made it easy for you to quickly match with people that were also interested in you. While Match and other dating websites appealed to an older generation looking for long-term, substantial relationships, Tinder found a gap, a younger market of smartphone users looking for quick results. Within only 5 years, Tinder was worth over $3 billion. And realizing just how big of a competitor they were actually turning out to be, Match.com eventually acquired them. No matter what you sell, you have competition. And when you know enough about them, you can strategize your offering and approach them in a way that is more impactful and in a gap that you can dominate. Before we discuss the next step, if you're looking for tips and tutorials so that you can grow your business exponentially, like this video, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so that you don't miss any of our updates. I can tell you from experience that it's a lonely feeling when you hype up the launch of your new mobile app or web store, and then on the first day of launch, no one visits your site, no one downloads your app, and not a single person purchases your product. Then on day 2, it's the same thing. And on week 2, it's the same thing again. And while this sounds depressing and pessimistic, it actually happens all the time. Entrepreneurs fail from the minute they launch their product because they assume they have a good product market fit, they assume they have the right business model, they assume they have the right price, and they assume they have the right marketing strategy. Then they put all their resources into launching based on those assumptions. Unfortunately, you can't build a house on a weak foundation, and you can't build a business on assumptions. Even if your idea starts with many unknowns, you can validate each assumption before launching your startup to the wider market. You can test some assumptions before you even build a product. For example, if you're launching a new software as a service product, you can use a landing page to describe the features of your product and pre-register users to validate that there's actually a demand. You can complete this entire process before you ever even write the first line of code. You want to test and validate everything. Your product features, pricing, marketing, and anything else that you're making assumptions about. We'll cover how to validate products in a future video, so if you want to learn more about it, make sure you subscribe. Until then, if you want more information about launching a startup using data and validation, pick up the book, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. Now, this isn't a sponsorship, and I have no affiliation with the author or publishers of this book, but it's a damn good book with a ton of information that I wouldn't dare launch a startup without. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.